But I did pull up 10 that were kind of the recent sales for the last couple days. And I figured maybe, today we can do a little recap as we kind of wait for the next sales. But, there are no winners. There are no losers in any of these books. I think anyone who can afford any of these books is a winner. But for the sake of the video, let's talk winners and losers. Of course, we had a Chamber of Chills 19, beautiful copy in a 7.5, sell for $31,050, 37 bids. Actually, as we now know, it was one of the members of Flip Mode Comics that actually was able to get this. Jamie bought it for himself. But what do you guys think? Did Jamie get a big win here, or is he? I guess he's a winner no matter what for the whole auction. But
so I mean, I had it at 30. I had it at 30,000. So I mean, it's within 3%, of that. So if you're, I mean, it's one of those types of books that getting a book around market is usually not a bad thing. And like he said, he's seen these in person. He knows how nice the colors are and everything. And so I'd say he did fine. He didn't get a discount. He paid retail, but I think he did fine.
A little dent in his profit check, but I think he will have that for a very long time. It'll be a nice reminder of, just a fantastic collection they were able to bring to the market. And, I would not feel bad at all if I were him bringing this one home and seeing everything else sell and just knowing how much more is still on the table to come from this collection. I think he did rather well there.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets the sentimental value in the book that he picked up for himself. But very, very interesting with this one. There are copies out there. And I shout out to the Spawn 306 collectors out there. But that maybe a Chamber of Chills 19 doomsday scenario at some point in the future. But for now, definitely seems like a good buy. But let's check in here with this book right here. Winners and losers. Now, I saw some people talking about this one as being a kind of a high sale. It's one of my favorite Captain America books. We got Captain America Comics number 3, the first Red Skull cover, Schomburg, early Captain America, first text story for Stan Lee, selling at $15,652 and a 0.5 missing centerfold. What do you guys think about this sale?
So I'll say, I mean, it is high. I think it's high. I had it at 11. And so, but when you look at that, you go, it's like, okay, it's 4,000 over. It's not like it's crazy high. It's like, it's not like it. I mean, there are some of these that are probably on there that will say those are some crazy high numbers. This one is not a crazy high number. It's, to me, what it's showing is maybe the price for entry for this book is higher than we thought it was. And it's like with Amazing Fantasy 15, a 0.5, you're going to pay 12, 13, 14 grand to get that book. And then a 1.0 is going to cost you 17. A 1.5 is going to cost you 19. A 2.0 might be 21. It's just like the barrier to entry, that bottom book on major keys, it is not the same price per point. It's usually much higher per point than the subsequent grades. And so, yeah, it's high, but maybe this could be something where now it's just, that's what you pay to get into that book. And, but the other side of that coin is, if you're patient, maybe you can get a 2.0 for like $4 grand more. And then you've got a complete copy that, that kind of stuff. So that's usually when you have that price compression, I would usually recommend try going for the upper end of it. But I mean, there's a lot of competition down at the bottom, because it's my favorite cover from that run.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure I'm not the only person that feels that way.
Because let's be honest, the context here is, I really like Golden Age Cap. I want an iconic Cap cover. I can pay 15 for this, or 13, whatever it takes to get in the door, and I can get that second best cover, or I can pay 50 grand for a Cap 1, or what's kind of the bottom.
If you're lucky.
Whatever you can maybe get in on the bottom level of an actual Cap 1. So, I mean, this cover, it's Captain America's Action 7 is what it is. Like, everybody would like to have an Action 1, but we settle for the Action 7 because it's the second best cover. That's what this guy is. and I don't think you're going to see that price going down anytime soon because one, the cover's super strong. Red Skull is absolutely awesome, and it's just number one has left the building for most people at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, next up here in the winners and losers, but once again, of course, there are no losers in this, but it hurts your wallet for a little bit of time here. But we have Dynamic Comics number 8 in a CGC 4.5, which puts it up there, funny enough, on the census. That sold for $45,138. This one took about an hour after Hammer closed to actually get a sale. What did you guys think about this one? Give the people a recap in case they didn't see the other stream.
Man, this thing just refused to quit, and we've had a couple of books like that. I think this was the first one that really, well, no, I guess it sold after the Crime Suspense, but we had just come off the Crime Suspense sale, which was another nutty one. Then this thing came up, and I mean, just even surpassed that. It was an event to watch because it just kept going and kept going, which is great because it just gave us an opportunity to really kind of take it in and just enjoy the book because it's not one that comes up very often. But, man, I'm very happy for the guys on the sale. Give my condolences to the banker of the buyer. But I don't know how you could walk out of an auction with this book and not be happy. So, no, I was very, very excited to watch this one go. And I think that shows in the stream. It was a pretty exciting lot to watch.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, like for the estimate versus what it went for, this was the second. No, this was the biggest surprise of the night. Like, I mean, it was, other than a couple 0.5s that went for much higher than I thought they would. Like, I had this one going for 18.5, and it was sitting under that before the live started, and then and I thought high end maybe it'd go 20, but obviously it went for more than double that. But it's also one where I'm not like shocked that it did. I mean, it's a huge sale, rare. But yeah, I mean, you might have to wait 10 years to get another shot at a book like this. And if you have enough money and you don't want to wait 10 years, then you're going to bid on it, and you're going to keep bidding on it. It's finally, I mean, somebody's going to capitulate eventually, there's like, I just can't do this, but I don't see it as like a bad buy or anything like that. I mean, it went for what it went for.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got Crime Suspense 22 selling for 24,150. I think this was way above what we were. I mean, like, I'm not going to say that I'm like, I crunched the numbers and stuff, but and knew exactly what it was going to go for. I think, Ryan, that's probably your area, but I feel like this was way above the expected cost.
I mean, considering this is also the one like Felipe called out too, where it's just like surprised, they were like, kind of like, what's going on? I mean, I had it going for 14.5. I wouldn't, and I had said on the stream when we were talking about this one, I thought I was maybe a little high even at that. And so, I mean, it's one of those things where I don't ever like to really say somebody, made a bad purchase. I don't want to make somebody feel bad about a buy, but this is a very risky purchase until you have confirmation, like if there's a confirming sale, fine. But I think you said there's another 6.5 maybe coming up in the Heritage.
I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what I saw. Yes.
And like, if that one goes for like 14, you're gonna feel that in your stomach.
Yeah.
When that book sells. So that was,
but I think
it feels like it gapped too much,
Yeah. But if it's a long-term hold, I mean, I don't think you'll get hurt on it. Like, this book just keeps going and keeps going. I mean, it may take a
10
bit,
years from now, maybe 5 years from now, 8 years from now, like market hits there. But but it's always tough with that for me, with that type of justification, because, it's the whole thing where I guess if you have enough money, it doesn't matter. But if you're just maybe like a little more patient, you get something for way less, and you spend that
Definitely.
money on something else.
Yeah.
Like then you got maybe
and if
10
you're
grand to buy something else.
and yeah, you had talked about, you know, your kind of year over year returns and stuff, and it's like, well, what is it better for you to spend this money parking it in this book versus another book? And so, you know, I think we're being nitpicky at that kind of numbers evaluation. But
I mean,
I don't
it's
know.
safe to say that if money wasn't an object, I would not go to the mat on a 6.5. You know, I would have waited for a higher grade copy to come up to go that crazy on.
Yeah. Well, would you guys say, I think at this point, I mean, take aesthetics aside, maybe just sort of notoriety as what books are the flagship books when you talk about the genre of PCH? I mean, it feels like this book just continues to be sort of solidified in the top 5, if not top 3. You know, you got to put Chamber 19 in there, and then I don't know. I feel like this is one of the faces, no pun intended, of PCH.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely become the belle of the ball of EC at this point. It's by far the most infamous EC, and now the values are there to kind of go along with the notoriety.
The next round of winners and losers. Looking back again, there are no losers. We got to talk about Journey into Mystery #1, the double cover CGC 7.5 on the interior and 7.0 on the exterior, going for $28,750. This was one that was kind of surprising because it was hovering around 11 for a while. We weren't sure that it was going to be, you know, the double value.
Yeah, I think
it could be 20, but yeah, this one dragged out. What do you think, Drew?
I think just this one was kind of the unknown. You know, it's like it could go for this, it could go for that, and nobody had anything to really make an educated guess with, because these double covers just don't exist. I mean, this book's hard enough in general, let alone with such a crazy or even desirable characteristic like the double cover. So I feel like I keep saying the same thing, but it was really entertaining to watch, and just the fact that it kept going, and kind of as the sale went on, kind of reassured us that some of those suspicions we had, you know, that this book is something special and that the market would reflect that, actually came to pass. So I think it's cool as hell.
Definitely.
I mean, and I've had, now that I know Felipe was also going after it, I know 2 people that were bidding on this book, and they both gave up. So I don't know who won it. Yeah, so it was definitely a book that people were interested in, people were looking for, and they're willing to pay for it. I mean, it's another one of those that it's sold for what it sold for. You know, like that's you can say. It's like you can't really say it went high, you can't really say it went low. Like, it's just such a unique book, and I agree, it probably is a one of one. You know, I mean, it's pretty unlikely that there's another double cover out there. It's always possible, but especially not one at this grade, though.
Not all the books are Bobby Blue that we got to talk about here. We got to talk about Hero for Hire #1. Now, I know that this person was a huge winner picking up this book for $64,401, because the last sale was over 6 figures.
This is one where
they made 38 grand, like just like, you know,
instantaneous like 30 grand flip.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this one right here, going for this? I mean, still the second highest sale this book has ever seen.
I think this is probably more like what it's worth. I was kind of surprised it went as high as it did. I mean, I would have, given that, you know, when it's one of those things where most of the time my general philosophy is, you know, it's like, first it's the book, you know, it's just like, what is that key? That's the important thing. Then what's the grade? Then you get to things like the appearance, and that's color, strike, wrap, that kind of thing. And then my bottom one is page quality, with a couple exceptions. But like this one, when you're getting up into these super expensive prices where people are spending 50 grand, you know, or 100 grand, people tend to want to be picky. And so this one having that kind of wonky wrap, I thought it might go a little lower than that.
Yeah, that was my take on this one too. Is just that it doesn't look like $64,000 at all. Just as cattywampus as it looks like it sits, it's not pretty. And I totally agree with Ryan. When you're in that price range, especially when you're looking at, top end of census books, you expect something that's visually pleasing. And I feel like this guy is a consolation prize, 9.8. Unfortunately, I mean, it's still respect where, it's due. It's an incredibly hard 9.8. There are guys out there who are super niche collectors and try and put together really high grade runs of these picture frame covers. So there is a market out there for it beyond just it being Luke Cage's first appearance, but it's not what I would have spent my $64,000 on.
There were some big winners as well.
Yeah.
Whoever found themselves in possession of Punch Comics number 12, 1/5, going for $13,480, had to be a genius purchase. Had to be.
Yeah.
Right, Ryan?
This is the big brain play of the auction.
Yeah, I feel like this is the buy of the week. Whoever picked this one up, just they knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you weren't watching last night, this was I won that one, and it was a challenge because I was also hosting, so I was trying to not show that I'm bidding on things while I'm also bidding on them, and because on Heritage it's not a problem because usually with the lag, it's by the time I'm bidding it doesn't matter, but here with 3 minutes, people definitely know you're bidding, and so, but yeah, no, I had priced it at around 10,000 a point, and it's the type of book where if you can get it to me, if I could get it under that, it's like the type of one where I'm more than happy to try to grab that. So I'm very pleased with that. That one is, I mean, and I always say my keeper list, it's while it's there, but it is going to be pretty firmly sitting on that on that keeper list.
And the thing is, as soon as you decide it's not, that book is as liquid as they come.
Yeah, for a Golden Age book, it's going to be it's pretty liquid book. And I mean, it's a 1.5. There are flaws, there's little missing pieces, but the main thing to me is the primary art, which is the skull, the people, all the that stuff, that's all there. And so
kudos to whoever tore those chunks off the book. They really kind of helped frame out the art and really just draw your eye there, and they left all the good stuff for you.
Yeah, this one is great. I mean, congratulations. A huge book. One of the I guess the best skull cover there is. And I got to say, Gus Rica, man, between this one and the dynamic cover, I mean, he just whatever it is, there's just those Gus Rica collectors out there that just really like his art, and he drew some pretty amazing stuff.
For this one, the other big thing for me is that this is 1944, and so it's extremely early for this style of cover. I mean, if this was in the 50s, it would be much more kind of accepted in that era, but this is early for this type of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool because you have this skull, but it's gangsters that are fighting here, which is maybe a little more
ultimately a crime book, right?
Winners and losers. There are no losers, but maybe there are. In Mass Comics number 1 in the 7.5, selling for $54,625. Now, this was one of those ones that Felipe had said that they were a little surprised that it went as low as it did. This feels like maybe it's hard to say. There's not too many sales to price it off of, but I don't know. What did you think about this, Drew or Ryan?
I think it's just the market coming around to realize that Mask 2 is the superior cover of the Mask.
Yeah, lies.
Oh, shots fired. Shots fired.
I think it's just one of those things where it's just kind of a shot in the dark. You can take your best guess, and sometimes you come up long, sometimes you come up short. But I think even at 54, it's not like it. I think if you sell a comic for $54,000, and it's within kind of the the general range of expectation, then you know you're going to make that up someplace else. And as we've been talking about for the last couple nights, they've more than made that up in plenty of other places. So
yeah, I mean, I think I gave an extremely wide range for this one, because I mean, when there are 2 graded higher, these books do not sell in this grade. You even in low grades like the 2.0s, you don't see sell all that often. And so I think I was like 50 or maybe 60 to 70, you know, and it went for 54. Like it's like, I mean, it's near the lower end of that range, but it's still within that range. And I mean, it's tough. Like when you're up near the top there, you do get huge gaps with every half grade, especially going towards top of census. And, you know, if people aren't in the chat aren't aware, like top of census is an 8.5. I mean, it's right there. It's not like there's a 9.2 or 9.6 like there are for a lot of these things. These 2 books specifically have their high grades. I think the top of census is for the 2 is very similar. It's like an 8.0.
We got to talk about Startling Terror Tales number 11, selling for $33,350. This was one of the monster sales of the week, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's exactly the same as the Crime Suspense Stories 22. You know, it's potentially a loser until you get a confirmation sale, because that was a huge jump. I mean, like I think Felipe said they had it at like 14.5 or 15. I had it at 16, you know, and this is more than double that. So I mean, it is a stunning copy. It looks amazing.
It's a fantastic looking copy.
It is now the record holder for
in
that
every grade.
In every grade.
Yeah. And I think the thing with this one was just it felt like an event, because it was, you know, we'd get almost to the end, we'd have just 2-3 seconds left, and that next bid would come in, and
oh my God,
we just keep doing that, and then we'd go through that, but then somebody'd slap right back. It was just it was toying with our emotions for so long last night. But
I feel like it ended when we started cheering. We're like, go for 30.
That's right. Do it. But no, I mean, I definitely agree with Ryan's assessment. It's a gorgeous copy, like we talked about last night. It's just a little out over its skis until somebody proves to us that no, it's not, and that's just how far the ground has moved beneath that book.
Yeah, very, very interesting one. This has been one that's been really hot, you know, as far as Golden Age books can be hot, you know, as far as like how many sell, but it just keeps going up and up. And it's really interesting about the whole, if you want to call it second printing or however you want to define it, but very cool to see that. But even with the blue, this one going for $33,350. Last book to talk about in sort of the winners and losers, at least from the recap of earlier in the week. I mean, there were a couple that went on the last day that are not going to be included in this, but last one I kind of wanted to talk about was what I was in some ways maybe the biggest book coming in, you know, from the Bobby Blue collection. Like this could have very well been the highest stickered book, at least in this sale. And I actually still think that it was, but maybe a little bit kind of like the Mask, a little bit on the softer end of the expectation window. But of course, Pep Comics number 22, first Archie. What did you guys think about this one? 69,575.
I think it was a little bittersweet. I think we definitely had expected more of it. Just because it's one of those books that you don't see come up very often at all. I don't know if we just didn't have enough bidders in the room to really drive it to where we thought it would be, or, you know, maybe the Archie communities kind of moved past the, you know, I could buy a brand new, very nice vehicle price for Archie's first appearance kind of position. But I don't know. It was surprising to me because I had definitely figured it would go for a bit more than that. And I think at some point I even talked that might flirt with 6 figures potentially. So to see it kind of fizzle out here. You know, it is what it is, and I think we all know who wound up with it, and they seem to be happy. And the thing like this is, you know, we saw today another one of these came to the market, so it just helps build the book up as, you know, they actually change hands. So it's nice to get some more inventory in the market and to get that flowing again. So
Yeah,
that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had it going for 80, but like you said, I wouldn't have been surprised if it went for more, just with how rarely they come up for sale. I mean, so I think, you know, I personally, I think it was a good pickup, because it's one of those things where I get that he's not on the cover, you know, and that can always be a detractor on some of these major keys, kind of like All-Star 8, that kind of thing. But at least with this one, you have like a really good World War II cover. You don't have something where it's just, you know, a not appealing cover anyway. Like, this is a historically significant cover regardless, and then you have, you know, those multiple first appearances in it. So, you know, yeah, I mean, that's my take. I would think it'd be a really cool book to own at some point. I don't feel like it's a book I will probably ever own, just because the price point is just so far out there. But
yeah,
I
just,
think
I mean,
cool.
for the most part, one of the last chances to own it. I mean, only like 30 copies on the census, but
Yeah, it
still,
is rare. It is
still
rare.
$70,000, a lot of money.